Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm diving into the world of Battle for Dream Island, BFDI, to talk about some of the most underrated characters. Let's break down why they're awesome and why they deserve more attention, so let's get started. Let's kick things off with Fries. Fries has always been one of those characters who doesn't get much recognition, but there's so much more to him than meets the eye. First off, his personality is just pure gold. He's sarcastic, snarky, and has a bit of a cynical view on things, but that's what makes him stand out. He's the character that says what everyone else is thinking, but doesn't have the nerve to say out loud. That dry sense of humor is something a lot of people relate to. I also think Freeze brings a kind of balance to his team. While others might get emotional or stressed out, Fries tends to stay cool and level-headed, sometimes to the point where he seems indifferent. But if you look deeper, he's actually more invested than he lets on. Remember when he defended his teammates or tried to help out in subtle ways? It's moments like those that show how much he cares without making a big deal about it. And honestly, Frey's whole aesthetic is hilarious to me. He's literally a box of fries, something so simple and everyday, but in the BFDI world, that's what makes him special. He's this grounded, no-nonsense character surrounded by all this chaos, and that contrast makes for some really entertaining moments. So yeah, Fries might not be the most flashy or emotional character, but that's exactly why I think he's underrated. He's relatable, he's funny, and he's the perfect laid-back underdog. Moving on to Bottle. Now, Bottle is a character that doesn't get a lot of attention, and I think that's a shame, because there's so much more to them than people realize. On the surface, Bottle seems like a background character, but when you dig into their moments, you start to notice how resilient and quietly strong they really are. One thing I really appreciate about Bottle is how they don't try to be the center of attention. They're not loud or overly competitive, but they're always there, contributing to the team in small but meaningful ways. In a lot of ways, Bottle represents the type of person who doesn't feel the need to show off but still does what needs to be done. It's easy to overlook someone like that, but without them, the whole dynamic would fall apart. Also, let's talk about how Bottle represents inner strength. The fact that they're, well, a bottle, something that can be fragile but also durable depending on the situation, is a great metaphor for their character. Bottle might not seem tough at first glance, but when the pressure's on, they really step up. And that's something I think a lot of fans don't recognize, the quiet strength and determination that Bottle brings to the game. So whether they're facing physical challenges or navigating team conflicts, Bottle is that steady presence that holds everything together. I think it's about time we give Bottle the credit they deserve for being a true unsung hero in the BFDI universe. Next up is Dora, and I know she's a bit of a polarizing character. People either love her or find her completely confusing, but that's part of what makes her so interesting to me. Dora is one of those characters that you just can't predict, and that unpredictability is why I think she's one of the most underrated characters in BFDI. I get it, her language barrier makes her a bit hard to understand, and she's often labeled as weird because she doesn't behave like the other contestants, but let's be honest, isn't that what makes Dora so memorable? She brings a level of chaotic energy to the group that no one else can match. In a show where strategy and competition are so central, having someone who operates entirely outside those norms adds a really fun dynamic. People often underestimate Dora because she doesn't follow the same logic or rules as the others, but that's actually her strength. She's unpredictable, which makes her a wild card in any situation. Sure, her behavior might seem random, but sometimes that randomness leads to really interesting results. And let's face it, Dora always keeps things interesting. You never know what she's going to do next, and that's a rare quality in a show full of predictable outcomes. So while some might write her off as strange or annoying, I see Dora as a unique and bold character who deserves way more love. She's the wild card we didn't know we needed. Now let's talk about Barf Bag. I'll admit, when I first saw Barf Bag, I didn't think much of her. Her name alone kind of threw me off, and I wasn't sure what her character would bring to the table. But over time, Barf Bag has really proven a charm herself as one of the kindest and most selfless characters in BFDI. Barf Bag is the type of character who always puts others before herself, and that's something you don't see a lot in a competitive environment like BFDI. She's not here for the spotlight or the drama, she just wants to help her friends and make sure everyone's okay. That kind of genuine kindness is really underrated, especially in a show that's full of backstabbing and rivalry. Another thing I admire about Barf Bag is her quiet strength. She's not loud or aggressive, but she has this inner resilience that makes her a great teammate. She's someone you can rely on when things get tough, and I think that's a trait that often goes unnoticed because she's not flashy about it. Barf Bag may not have the most glamorous name or the most dramatic storylines, but she embodies loyalty and compassion. That's why I think Barf Bag is one of the most underrated characters in the entire series. Finally, let's talk about Balloony. I feel like Balloony doesn't get nearly enough credit for the emotional depth he brings to the show. On the Surf No Ace, he might seem like a simple, air-filled character, but Balloony is so much more than that. He's actually one of the most emotionally open and vulnerable characters in the entire BFDI cast. What really sets Balloony apart is his loyalty. He's always there for his friends, even when things get tough. In a game that's all about competition, it's refreshing to see someone like Balloony who values friendship over winning. That loyalty adds a layer of emotional depth to his character that a lot of people overlook. And let's talk about Balloony's personality. He's soft-spoken and gentle, which makes him easy to underestimate, but that gentleness is what makes him special. While other characters might be more focused on winning or causing chaos, Balloony is all about supporting the people he cares about. In a way, Balloony represents the softer side of the show, the part that reminds us that it's not all about competition, but about the relationships you build along the way. So, even though he's not as loud or attention-grabbing as some of the other characters, Balloony has a quiet depth and loyalty that makes him truly underrated.